Hey, what is up? Welcome to this episode of the Entrepreneur to Entrepreneur podcast. As always, I'm your host, Brian Lofermento, and I'll tell you what, I'm all sorts of fired up for today's episode because we are joined by an amazing entrepreneur that views business a bit differently. And you've heard me say countless times here on the show before that business is just a microcosm of life. And today's entrepreneur, her approach is really embedded in the fact that business and life, they're all intertwined. Everything is intertwined, and there's no escaping it, and one can lift up the other. So I'm so excited to learn from her today. Her name is Katie-Beth Schultz. Katie-Beth is an artist turned entrepreneur who uses life's uncertainties to uncover the desires of her heart and achieve the life and business goals she never thought possible. She has a passion for empowering small business owners to get real with their needs so they can get back to pursuing the passions that set their soul on fire and live the life of their dreams. With over a decade of small business experience, she thrives on unearthing problems in an organization and working with small business owners to come up with a solution. In a nutshell, KB is your business best friend. I want to tell you something that our team, when we came across her work, we said, holy cow, we need to invite her on the show. On her business website, the very top headline is an explosion of creative strategies for life and business. And when we read about her mission, her company, the Sunburst Strategies Company, is a collaborative offering an explosion of creative strategies for life and business. They believe that when you become intentional with your business's time, money, and communication, a beautiful union of purpose and passion explodes. And I think that's such a perfect segue to dive straight in. I'm not going to say anything else. Let's dive straight into my interview with Katie-Beth Schultz. All right, Katie-Beth, I'm so excited that you're here with us today. First things first, welcome to the show.
Hi, Brian. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, likewise for us. We've been so excited to have you on the show because your approach is a little bit different. And I know that so much of it is embedded in all the things that led up to you becoming an entrepreneur. So take us beyond the bio. Who's Katie-Beth? How'd you start doing all these cool things?
Yeah, absolutely. So, my journey is definitely goes up and down and up and down. It's not your traditional journey to entrepreneurship, but honestly, what journey to entrepreneurship is typical. I think it's just unique to every entrepreneur. So I have been a dancer since I was a little girl, since I have a little girl since her age. And so she's 4. And I wanted to be a dancer when I grew up. So I went to college and I majored in dance performance. And I wanted to just go be on big stages, tour the world, and dance. And that was the plan. So in order to be an artist, a working artist, you've got to have what we artists call a day job too, to kind of make ends meet until you get to a certain level. So I worked all these really interesting creative jobs in small business that taught me everything I know today. Like, it's funny when I go back and look at the last 10, 15 years, I'm like, man, okay, I got my degree in dance performance, but I really got my degree in business and life and people over the past 10 and 15 years. So I started out at a boutique and I was a sales associate. I was just there to, hey, let me clock in, work my part-time job, and then go to rehearsal and have the freedom to go on tour when I needed to and do those kinds of things for the art world. And so, but I really liked it, and it was more than just a brick and mortar store. So at the time, it was an online business, and that was in the early days, like before the big Amazon boom. And so I was learning about e-commerce. I was learning about marketing. I was learning about buying. So I kind of worked my way up the small ladder that it was, but I worked my way up in that business. I became a store manager, and then I became a buyer for clothing and fashion accessories and jewelry. And then when I say I became the buyer, I mean I was the jewelry and accessories department in its entirety. So I procured everything. I worked with the vendors. I merchandised everything in the shop. I put everything up on the website. I merchandised everything up on the website. I learned about SEO. I learned about keywords. I learned about Google AdWords. I learned all these things that I never would have had access to if I would have just tried to keep finding jobs more similar to my dance job, if you will. So if I was like, well, I'm just going to be a dance teacher in all these different places too, which I was too. I mean, you know, as an artist, I'm sure you know, Brent, like, you've got to work all the jobs so that you can do the thing that you love. So I think it's important to understand that it's okay to explore these different options and not, like, you're not selling out on your artistry just because you're going off and learning new things and maybe making a little more money. Like, you can still be an artist. Like, everyone is an artist, actually, I believe, when you get down to it. That's a whole other conversation, I guess. But yeah, so then after that place, I just kept going to these different small businesses and working. And, you know, in a small business, you're wearing a million different hats. You are working closely with the business owner because they're the ones that created that business. They're the ones that are wearing a million hats too. So I got to see up close and personal the struggles that they dealt with, the successes that they had, the decision making, all of that. So I count myself really blessed, even though during that time, I remember saying, man, like, why am I struggling? Why am I doing all these things to make ends meet? Why, as we do in our 20s, right? And it was really awesome because I get to look back now and say, well, that was the foundation being built so that I could create something that is really meaningful, can serve people, help people today, that also sets my heart on fire.
Yeah, gosh, Katie-Beth, I love that overview for so many reasons, but especially because, I mean, you talked about building that foundation, and what I really hear in that backstory is that it sounds like you were always very cognizant and aware of the fact that, yes, I have these passions. I am an artist by heart. I've been dancing since I was a little kid, but there's also that business side of it. And instead of thinking about it as two different worlds, you understood how to dance between the two of them. And so if we fast forward to your business today, we talk about an explosion of creative strategies for life and business. It just seems like that understanding of the two playing together is so ingrained in your work. Talk to us about that, because it is that dance that you continue to do to this day. And I think most people don't fully embrace the fact that these things, they're all intertwined.
Absolutely. I love that. I love how you say it's a dance between the two, because it is. And I'm always using metaphors of dance and choreography because that's what I know. And it really speaks to so many different aspects of business and life. So it's interesting because when I went out on my own and started the Sunburst Strategies Co, it didn't start that way. So I had my little girl at the beginning of 2020. So it was the very beginning of 2020 when people were like, if you go outside and see someone, you could die. So, being pregnant, and that was my first, and we did not live near family at the time. It was just a really, really scary experience. And so anyways, everything went great. Had my little girl. We got on a consistent nap sleeping schedule, and I was at home. I was not dancing. I was not working. I was at home taking care of the baby. So I have always known that a business was inside of me, but I didn't know how or what I wanted to do. So literally during nap time, I was getting online, checking out different business ideas, trying to investigate myself as a new mom, as a retired professional dancer, as a wife, as an artist, as a woman now in her 30s. Like, what does all of that look like? How can I wear all of those hats? How can I be, or how can I find fulfillment in all of those areas of my life? Because it's gotta all work together. And I think that is what's different about the Sunburst Strategies Co. is that we look at you as a whole person, because if you have taken the dive and the risk to go out and start something, I mean, you've got your family involved. You've got your friends involved. This is your life. This is like you having a baby, man or woman. Like, you are birthing a new idea and a new business. And so that's not the only facet of you. Like, there's so many other facets of you that brought you to this point. So all of that to say is, when I finally decided what I wanted to do, I started this lifestyle blog, and it was really cool. Again, it was another step on the ladder to learn something different about business, learn more about the online business side, learn about blogging, learning how to monetize blogging and that kind of thing. And so I think it's important too to understand that just as in life, and you're going to have these struggles, these ups and downs, these wins, these successes, you're going to have that in business too. And so, I hate the term work-life balance, because it's not a balance for us entrepreneurs. It is all one thing. And so how do we marry all of that together and work it all together? Is we look at you as a whole person. There's no other way to look at it. No other way.
Yeah, I love that. Katie-Beth, I'm going to try to use a sports analogy and a story from my own life to segue into this next question, trusting that you're going to pick up the pieces of a not entirely formulated question. So I was at a tennis clinic, this is years ago, out in Palm Springs, California, and with some of the best coaches on planet Earth. And so, Katie-Beth, I was playing a singles match against my opponent, and this is for the reason of learning. So the coaches were very closely watching us, and I got to the net, and I hit a bad shot. I lost the point, and so I turned to the coach, and I said, Megan, what was wrong? Like, I thought I was in a really good position at the net. What did I do wrong in that shot? And she goes, the problem is it wasn't that shot that was the problem. It was 3 shots ago that led to this shot at the net where your feet weren't set. And so here she was. It's kind of like that old cliche of playing chess versus checkers. I was playing checkers, just looking at my most recent shot. She was playing chess and looking at the overarching strategy. And that really put into perspective for me that it's very easy to look at the thing that's right there in front of our eyes and assume that that's the problem without thinking about all those things that come before. And for you and what you're doing with the Sunburst Strategies Co., I think about how you're assessing, you said it, the whole person, the life and the business. A lot of times I would imagine that business owners think, oh, sales is my problem, marketing is my problem, product fulfillment is my problem. But the truth is, it's 3 shots ago. It's something that's foundational that's missing. Talk to us about that, because uncovering it must be a blast and must also clear the way for their success at last.
Yes, I love that. That's so Good. What a good example. I love that. I am picking up what you're laying down, Brian. So, absolutely. I'm thinking of a client right now where, she's a mom, she's a wife, she has her business, and she was always running around from one thing to the next and feels like she can't ever like get on top of anything, which I feel like that sometimes, a lot of the times too. I could use myself as an example as well. But it's exactly what you said. It's like, she's like, well, like, why aren't more people calling me? Why aren't more people hiring me? And I'm like, well, it's not because of the messaging that we're giving. The messaging is wonderful. It's not because you're not good at what you do. It's not that. We've got to go backwards, and we've got to get a plan in place for your life, because sometimes you're not present at those moments that you need to be present for your clients, because everything is important right now. And if every facet of your life is important right now, then nothing is important. And when you're working with a client, working with a customer, when you're hanging out with your kids, when you're with your spouse, when you're with your friends, whatever it is you're doing in your life, you want to be fully aware and fully present. I think that is something that we can say for everyone. Everyone's in different places in life. Everyone is at different places in their business. Everyone has different goals and aspirations. But I can say that I think at a very human level, we want to be present with whatever it is that we're doing and with the people that we're with. So I think in order to do that, we've got to have a plan. And so that's what we look at is having a plan, not only for your business. That's where we start, because that's where you hired me in the first place, right? Is, hey, I need help with this thing, and can you help me get it done or accomplished or make it better for my business? And then I say, well, yeah, we'll start there. But then as we start getting to know each other and start opening up, and it's always this one thing that's said when you're talking about your business, and I say, tell me more about that, because that actually, now you're talking about your personal life. And so we dive into that side of things, and we see where the connection lies. And then we go in and dive into, hey, maybe I need to work on this a little bit, and really just giving every single piece and facet of you the attention that it deserves, and setting aside that special time so that when you're here, you can be here and not worrying about what else, because you've already got a plan. It's already on your calendar. It's already on your to-do list, and it's not right now. So I don't have to think about it. It's right now. And so, yeah, that's been really, really cool, is seeing people being like, oh, okay, yeah, I am allowed to like mix my life and my business together, but not in the way where you're working all the time, or in the way where you're, trying to do family things while you're trying to do work things. It's like, no, you can do it all. You can have it all, but not at the same time. We cannot do it all at the same time. And so I think it's been really beautiful to see people open up their eyes to that and understand that work-life balance is not a thing, but it's really this beautiful dance of here to there and doing it all and having it all. It really can happen.
Yeah, Katie-Beth, I love that energy and that attitude because as Henry Ford once said, whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. And so hearing you say that we can have it all, of course we can. With that attitude, we can. And so you talked in that answer about being present. And I would argue that there's something that shows up even more in your work than just being present. Actually, in today's conversation, it really shows up how much this theme and how much this is ingrained in the way that you think, in the way that you navigate problems. And that is being intentional. Intentionality. Katie-Beth, the more that our team looked into your business, the more that word popped up. And so I can see it even in listeners, just full disclaimer, I'm going to say it for Katie-Beth, so she doesn't necessarily have to humble brag, but she serves business owners in so many incredible ways at all different budgets, whether you want her guides, whether you want her courses, whether you want her actual services. If you're ready for that, there's solutions for everything. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because when we talk about intentionality, Katie-Beth, I see on your website, you've got a business budget template. You've got a content calendar template. You've got a website audit checklist. You even have sunrise smoothie recipes so that we don't have to think about how to get the fuel throughout our day. And so all of that intentionality, like think about how much less stress there is in growing a business if your content calendar is already set for you. Your budget is already set for you. Talk to us about, because it looks like you've built all of these things, but I know it's evolved over time. It didn't happen overnight. Talk to us about the intentionality in your own business and then also how you help manifest that in your clients' businesses.
Yeah, absolutely. So yes, intentionality is like, it started out as a word for the day, then the word for the year, and now it is life. Intentionality is life. And so, again, going back to that planning piece, I mean, I know a lot of creatives that are like, I don't have time to plan. I don't have time to, make a list or be organized, and even growing up and then through college and then even through this business, seeing people that are super highly creative and so brilliant and so intelligent, living in mass disorganization and without a plan because they truly believe that those things stifle their creativity and truly believe that, oh, I'm not going to waste time on that because I could then be creating something. Now, I think there is, I've talked about, there's no balance like this whole time, but there is a balance that we've got to strike between planning and doing. We don't just want to plan, and then never do, which I can sometimes definitely be guilty of that because I just love it so much. But what we believe at the Sunburst Strategies Co. is that you can have a plan. We can get you organized. Yes, it takes time. And yes, it is a time investment. And it may not be the funnest thing in the world for you because you're ready to go and play and create and make something or teach something, whatever it is that you do, or sell something, whatever it is. But when you don't have the budget to think about, when you don't have, I got to post something on social media today, when you don't have, I need to send that email out, or I'm not even communicating with my audience, or, oh my gosh, I have this mess here in my office, or man, I've got to, who's going to pick up the kid from dance today? What's for dinner? How do I get in all the stuff that I need to do? Like, that is what is stifling the creativity. It is all this stuff just floating around, and it is dampening your soul. I know that's quite dramatic, but it is. And so what freedom lies in creating these plans and these systems so that you can just go to the moon and the stars and not have to worry about all this stuff. And then instead of, we're right here almost to the moon and the stars in our rocket ship, and something breaks, or something doesn't work anymore, we don't want to be building the process at that point, because that would super suck to stop that momentum, because we're almost to the moon and the stars where we're wanting to be. And so once we're at that place where we're almost to the moon and the stars and something breaks down, we just want to have to tweak a few things that are easy fixes or easy mindset shifts or whatever it may be, instead of building the whole thing. Now, sometimes you do have to tear it all down to rebuild it when you're shifting and moving and learning more about yourself and your business. But again, it's let's get all that stuff out of the way so that you have the freedom to create without bounds.
Katie-Beth, you're hitting us in the feels today, because when you were listing all of those things about worrying about what's for dinner and 500 other things, it was painful for me to listen to, because I was thinking, oh my gosh, if that's the way people are running their businesses, they're never going to succeed. And so when I heard you talk about that, I asked myself, how do I practice this level of intentionality in my own business? And for me, like, one such example is just batch productivity. For example, you and I are recording this session on a Tuesday. Today, Tuesdays, all I do is podcast interviews. I don't think about anything else. I don't worry about anything else. I can just be totally in the game. So I love hearing that you put that onus on your clients to ask those questions. And speaking of questions, I'm going to prime you with this, even though you're totally unprepared for this. Listeners know there's no pre-planned questions here, Katie-Beth, but I'm firmly of the belief that the quality of life or business that we have is going to be dictated by the quality of the questions that we ask ourselves. If we ask ourselves bad questions, we're going to get bad answers and have a bad life and business. So, Katie-Beth, what are some of the questions that you wish every person or every business owner would start asking themselves more of? Because we are bogged down by the hustle and bustle of life. So what are those super intentional questions, either that you ask yourself or that you hope everybody else starts asking themselves?
So good. So good. So it's funny that you say that. I have another freebie on the site, and it is called the Happiness Helper. And the Happiness Helper lists all of these questions that you should be asking yourself, because I think that as business owners, we could get into a rut of like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is how this all started. So I got to keep doing the same thing. Well, I've gotten this far, which is, again, what I did with the lifestyle blog. It was Katie-BethSchultz.com, and I didn't know what I was doing. And I made this thing, and I was so close to it. And then I knew it wasn't working, but I was scared to tear it down. And I said, no, like sometimes you got to burn it down to build it back up and make something better. So definitely 100% get on the Happiness Helper if you haven't already, and answer those questions for yourself. But some of those questions, if I can remember some of them, is really just sit down, and they're really simple. They're not these like huge philosophical questions of like, what's your greatest desire in life or something. You know, it's not that. It's really bringing it back down to earth and opening up your heart and investigating what it is you want. And so I think the number one question that we need to be asking ourselves as entrepreneurs is this what I want to be doing? Is this what I want to be doing? Am I serving people in the way that I'm not only good at, but that I love? So you could be good at something, but you could not like it that much. So we want to make sure that we're operating in that sweet spot of, I love this, I'm good at it, I am helping people, I am serving people, whether that's with a service or a product, and I'm glad I'm doing it, and can I keep doing it? So I think really kind of stripping it down and pulling all the fluff away and saying, hey, should I even be doing this? And I think you can take an audit of your business as well, with like either the different offers that you offer or the different services or products, and really see, man, do I even like that thing that I sell? Or, even looking at it from a data standpoint of, wow, like these 3 things are top sellers, and then you see this break and you see, man, those things aren't really doing anything, then get rid of them. Like, let's cut off the dead weight so that we can really get into and be intentional about and pour our heart into the things that are really moving the needle, the things that are really serving people in the best way, and the things that we love to do. Because if we're not doing those things, what's the point? What is the point? So just take a step back and just say, do I even want to do this? And if the answer is no, like, be okay with that. You can twist, you can turn, you can pivot, you can transition, you can tear it all down and rebuild it, you can tear down pieces of it. It is a-okay. It is a-okay to be honest with yourself. You're not going to get in trouble. No one's going to be mad at you.
Katie-Beth, I love that. Honestly, in over 1,000 episodes, I don't think anyone's brought this topic up, but it's such a real entrepreneurial topic that we don't talk about publicly, which is, do I actually love this product or service? Do I actually love this workflow that I have? Do I actually love that? There's so many times in my business, still to this day, I'm 16 plus years into my entrepreneurial journey and 8 years into this podcast, for example, and still I'm just like, why are we doing it this way? Like, let's do this one thing a little bit differently. Or in some cases, as your business continues to grow and you scale, you can say, I don't personally want to do this, but I'd like to hire someone else who will keep doing this. So lots of business answers that we can find, but only when we start asking those questions. So you've been such a wealth of knowledge. Katie-Beth, I knew 2 things would happen here today. One, I knew you'd bring the heat and you'd make us think about business and life differently. And the second thing is, I knew that time would absolutely fly by. So I'm excited to ask you this final question because it's super broad and you can truly take it in any direction you want. I don't know how you're going to top all of the amazing advice and insights that you've already given us, but that question is, what's your one best piece of advice or that one takeaway, knowing that we're being listened to by people from all different stages of their own business and life journeys? What's that one thing that you want to impart on them from today's episode?
So good. So tough. I think that it would be to really be honest with yourself. Be honest with yourself about where you want to be, where you're at today, where you want to go, and how you're going to get there. Because if we're just treading along because it's our business and it's what we're supposed to be doing, or I don't know, I get up and I make it happen. No, like, before you go to sleep tonight, I want everyone to really ask themselves, is this what I want to do? And where am I at today? Where do I want to go? And how am I going to get there? And again, it doesn't have to be this huge philosophical awakening. It can be as simple as, I want to serve one more person every month. I want to be $1 million business by the end of the year. I want to make $1,000 more a month. It doesn't matter what the thing is, but please, 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 please have a thing, have a goal, have something that you're working towards, so that we have a reason to get up every day and serve. And you hear me say serve. We don't want to sell. We don't want to sell because we want to serve and help people. Again, that can be with service or products. We want to if we're going to make it, if we're going to keep doing this entrepreneurial thing, the money will come. The money will come, I promise. But we want to make sure that we are serving. So to sum it up, we want to make sure we're serving. We want to know where we're at today. We want to know where we want to be tomorrow. And then we think about, how are we going to get there, or do we need help and we need to ask for help to get there?
Yes, incredible advice and intentionality from start to finish, Katie-Beth. And I'm going to put you on the spot right here and publicly praise you, because I will say you talk so much about service. And from the second our team came across your website, what's very clear to us is that you actually don't view your website as a place where you talk about your business. You view your website as a place to begin serving. And there's so many things on your website that just simply serve others. As someone from the outside looking in, I'm just like, probably you're embracing that, the age-old marketing principle that I've always loved, which is the best way to prove to somebody that you can help them is to actually help them. And that's what you do on your website. It's so rare to find that, because in so many cases, we all are a case of the cobbler's son has no shoes. I remember when I had an SEO agency, my website had no SEO because I just didn't have time for it. But Katie-Beth, you find such an incredible way to deeply serve people, whether they've begun their journey of working with you or not. Your website has such a wealth of resources and tools and checklists and all the things we talked about. So that's just me priming it a little bit. Katie-Beth, drop those links on us. Where should listeners go from here?
Thank you. Okay, check out the Sunburst Strategies Co.com. And then it's the same thing on Facebook and Instagram. It's at the Sunburst Strategies Co. CO.
Yes, and listeners, you already know the drill. We're making it as easy as possible for you to find Katie-Beth's business links and also a link to her personal LinkedIn, because if you so enjoyed her on today's episode and you want to continue the conversation, don't be shy. Check out those links down below in the show notes. Most people are shy when they tune into podcast episodes or they read a book or they see someone on a YouTube video. Don't be shy. Reach out. Continue the conversation. If you're serious about and intentional about growing your business this year, Katie-Beth has so many resources for you. And as you see, she brings her energy into all of the things as well. So definitely check out the show notes down below. Otherwise, Katie-Beth, on behalf of myself and all the listeners worldwide, thanks so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you.